high on a windswept, isolated hilltop in the remote countryside of Kentucky, stands a towering 5-story ruin, once a place intended to offer hope against a deadly epidemic. Waverly Hills Sanatorium carries decades of sorrow within its crumbling walls. Over the years, thousands of visitors, paranormal investigators, and even former staff have come forward with accounts of unexplained phenomena. The sheer volume and consistency of these stories have earned the sanatorium a dark reputation as one of the most haunted locations in America. Many areas of the massive building first appear as nothing more than decaying ruins. Peeling paint, broken windows, and silence. Yet one room on the 5th floor has become legendary for the intensity of its activity. Room 502. At first glance, it is unremarkable faded walls, a view of the rolling hills outside, and an atmosphere that many say grows heavier the longer you remain. Visitors often describe an immediate wave of deep sadness or unease upon crossing the threshold. Some report hearing quiet sobbing or the sound of soft footsteps pacing the room when they are completely alone. Others speak of sudden cold spots or the distinct feeling of being watched from near the window. According to long-standing accounts, a nurse took her own life here in 1928. The story tells of a young woman who became pregnant by a doctor at the facility. Fearing the scandal and the harsh judgment of the era, she reportedly hanged herself from a light fixture in the room. Some versions suggest a botched procedure preceded the tragedy. A few years later, in 1932, another nurse met a grim end by falling from the window or the roof area connected to this floor. One investigator who spent time in room 502 described the experience this way. The moment I stepped inside, the air felt thick with sorrow. I heard a woman's voice clearly whisper, "Get out." There was no one else in the room. Many others have reported seeing a female figure in outdated nurse clothing standing motionless near the window, staring out across the hills. Some say she slowly turns toward them before fading. Others describe feeling invisible hands touch their shoulder or tug at their clothing. EVPs captured in the room have reportedly included a female voice responding to questions. The room has become a focal point for those seeking evidence, yet many who enter choose to leave sooner than planned, disturbed by what they sense. While the stories surrounding room 502 are profoundly unsettling, another location deep within the structure speaks even more directly to the hospital's painful history. The Body Chute, often called the Death Tunnel, during the height of the tuberculosis epidemic, death was a daily reality at Waverly Hills. To prevent living patients from witnessing the constant removal of bodies, staff constructed a 500-foot underground tunnel. The deceased were placed on sleds or a simple conveyor and sent down the steep passage to waiting vehicles below, hidden from view. Today, the long concrete tunnel lies empty and silent. But according to numerous explorers, it remains one of the most active sites for paranormal phenomena. Visitors frequently report hearing dragging sounds echoing along the walls, as though something heavy is being pulled through the darkness. Others describe low moaning, labored breathing, or the squeak of old gurney wheels. Many feel an intense presence following closely behind them, the unmistakable sensation that they are not alone in the passage. A visitor on a nighttime tour shared, "I was walking through the chute when I felt something touch the back of my neck, ice cold. Then I heard footsteps right behind me. Every time I stopped, the footsteps stopped too. When I turned around with my light, nothing was there. Some have glimpsed shadowy forms moving along the tunnel walls, or a strange glowing mist drifting toward them. The feeling of being watched, or even lightly pushed, has been reported by multiple people." The Body Chute continues to test the nerves of even experienced investigators. Beyond the tunnel, the long hallways of the upper floors, particularly the 5th floor, hold their own reputation for disturbing encounters. These corridors once housed patients struggling for every breath. Now they stretch into darkness, lined with empty doorways, and filled with an atmosphere many describe as overwhelmingly oppressive. Shadow figures are among the most commonly reported phenomena. Dark, human-shaped forms appear at the end of hallways, stand motionless, or move in unnatural ways. Sometimes sliding along walls or crawling across the floor toward visitors. A gentler presence said to roam these halls is a young boy known as Timmy. People often hear the sound of a ball bouncing down the empty corridors, or feel a small ball roll against their feet when none is visible. Some visitors bring toys as offerings, only to return later and find them moved to different locations. One explorer recalled, "I left a ball for Timmy in the hallway. A few minutes later, I heard it bouncing behind me. When I looked, the ball was rolling slowly toward me, even though the floor was level and there was no one else around." More menacing is the entity referred to as the creeper, a tall, hunched shadow figure that moves quickly and aggressively, sometimes appearing to crawl on walls or ceilings before vanishing. Waverly Hills Sanatorium first opened in 1910 as a modest facility to combat the tuberculosis outbreak devastating the Louisville area. The current 5-story structure was completed in the 1920s and could house hundreds of patients at a time. While many recovered thanks to fresh air, sunlight, and experimental treatments, thousands did not survive. Exact death tolls are debated, but the suffering here was immense. The facility later operated briefly as a geriatric hospital before being abandoned. Since then, it has attracted paranormal teams from around the world, many of whom have captured compelling evidence, including EVPs, unexplained shadows on video, and sudden equipment malfunctions. Additional reports include full apparitions walking the halls, lights turning on and off in empty rooms, and the strong scent of antiseptic or flowers in areas with no obvious source. Naturally, not every experience requires a supernatural explanation. Yet the remarkable consistency of the reports across decades, the nurse in room 502, the dragging sounds in the Body Chute, young Timmy's ball, and the crawling shadows on the 5th floor, leads many to believe that something of the past continues to linger. Today, Waverly Hills Sanatorium remains isolated on its Kentucky hilltop, overlooking the countryside. Thousands of visitors walk its decaying corridors each year. Most leave with photographs and stories. Others depart convinced they encountered presences that have never truly left these halls.